Well, new erosion today in the president's poll numbers on the economy as Americans focus more and more on how Washington is spending our tax money. According to the latest Washington Post ABC News poll, President Obama has lost nearly 10 points in the public's view on his handling of the economy between December and March. Look at that. He had an 18 percentage point advantage over the Republicans in December, and now it's down to a 4-point advantage for him. This comes as even liberal observers suggest the president may have overplayed his hand with what Steyerwalt has been calling the scare quester. Trying to gin up people's fears is the accusation over this sequester that didn't wind up panning out. And new reports are emerging now of wasteful federal spending. Happens every day, it seems. Now it's the IRS, the agency in charge of collecting your tax dollars. And boy, do they call you if you don't get them in on time and you're not responsible. Well, now they have had to apologize for a 2010 training video that parodied Star Trek with your taxpayer dollars. Here's a clip.
Coming in clear now, Captain. Shall I open a channel?
Yes, on screen. Lieutenant Mackey, report.
Yes, sir. It's worse than we thought. There's money laundering, bribery, cash pay haircuts and manicures running rampant in the street. Sir, they're even exchanging their lowest coin currency for paper bills.
You don't mean...
That's right, sir. Pennies on a dollar.
No wonder they get so upset when our payments aren't in on time. They have important projects to fund, Chris Steyerwalt, who is our Fox News digital politics editor and host of Power Play. Boy, they get upset when we don't get our payments in on time, and now we know why. And a couple of years ago, I was due a refund, and it took a long, long time. They had to review it and review it and review it. And now I'm wondering whether some of my money was going to fund a Star Trek movie, and they just didn't have it to give.
Yeah, that was something, I think, is what you'd call it. That was something. Look, the president set the threshold for what an acceptable amount of money to discuss in the federal budget would be. And that was about $74,000 because that's how much it costs to keep tours operating of the White House. So once you set, for a week, once you set the threshold of that's a discussable amount of money, that you say this is an amount of savings worth having, that means anything that costs anywhere near that ends up, that's worth talking about. And Republicans, as it happens, are really good at finding and identifying things that money get wasted on, whether it is the battle with the Romulan tax cheats or whether it is the now infamous study of the private parts of certain male ducks. Whatever it is, as long as the increment is something like or more than what the White House was spending on tours, it's fair game.
For those of you who don't spend as much time in Washington as Chris, that reference to the ducks, and we'll leave it at that, reference to the ducks anatomy, is real. We spent almost $400,000 in a federal study that would look at the size, let's put it that way, $400,000 of your taxpayer money. In addition to the $60 grand that you federal taxpayers spent on that Star Trek video that the IRS thought would be a laugh riot, that they would film at their studios that they use for their public service announcements. Then they did another one on Gilligan's Island, and then they got caught. The House Ways and Means Committee found out that they had done this and said, give us the tape. So they saw the little Star Trek tape, the House Ways and Means Committee, Chris, and this is what the IRS said. The IRS recognizes and takes seriously our obligation to be good stewards of government resources and taxpayer dollars. There is no mistaking that this video did not reflect the best stewardship of resources. Now pay up on April 15th, like it or not.
Look, you mentioned those polls. You talked about the sliding numbers on the economy. Here's what we cannot forget in any of this discussion. Voters are smart enough to know the link between fiscal policy here in Washington and economic policy writ large across the country. Whether you think, as Democrats do, that there should be more taxation and more spending to stimulate the economy, or whether you think, as conservatives and Republicans do, that there should be a cutting of spending to reduce the debt and a cutting of taxes to try to encourage growth. Whatever it is that you think, you know that these two things are interrelated. And as the president stumbles on the fiscal argument, his approval ratings on the economy are going to go down too.
Now, the IRS is not the only one spending our money in ways that are questionable. We mentioned the duck thing. Then the USDA is running TV commercials trying to teach college students how to safely operate their microwaves. Here's a sample of that.
To safely cook food in the microwave, cover with a lid or microwave-safe plastic wrap, leaving a corner open to release steam. After reheating and a standing time, use a food thermometer.
The temperature should be 165 degrees Fahrenheit, unless otherwise stated on the label. That's the temperature that will kill any harmful bacteria if present.
Oh my God. Are we this stupid? Are we this stupid? Really, are we?
If they were making that video at Hampden-Sydney College circa 1993, they would have probably not found too many instant read food thermometers in my dorm room or anybody else's.
Label.
What's up with that?
Read the stupid label on the food on the back of the Lean Cuisine like the rest of us have been doing since the microwave came out in 1980 or so on. Listen, the point is government waste. And you talk about President Obama's slipping poll numbers when it comes to his handling of the economy. Does all of this factor in? Because, you know, Joe Biden made news this week because he went over to Paris and he went over to London for one night in Paris, one night in London, and reportedly ran up a tab of more than $1 million for that two-night trip. $1 million with hundreds of hotel rooms and so on. And I'm asking you whether the American people have had it with all of this.
Yes, and the president made it so by lowering the threshold for what's worth discussing. That White House tour thing looks worse every day, and it'll keep looking worse until the president can find a way to get out of budget jail. And if he wants a deal, that's why.
Wow. Well, we'll see. Chris Tyrewell, thank you.